Welcome to the Conservative Viewpoint, where the truth always matters. I'm your host Charlie, the country conservative, and co-host Brendan, from The Brendan Statler Show. We are your source for conservative news. Now on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Conservative Viewpoint, where today we dive headfirst into the tempest of ideas, unafraid to challenge the prevailing winds. Tonight, as the stars twinkle above, so do the sparks of discourse ignite. I'm your host, Charlie, the country conservative.
And I'm Brendan Statler from The Brendan Statler Show.
We're standing at the crossroads of liberty and tradition, ready to dissect the day's headlines with surgical precision. Tonight, we gathered in the hallowed halls of reason, where the ghosts of founding fathers nodding approvingly. Yes, they're here, Washington, Jefferson, and Adams, sipping metaphorical tea, wondering how we've managed to turn this grand experiment into a reality TV show. But fear not, for we shall channel their wisdom, and with as we navigate the choppy waters of modern politics. Now let's address the elephant in the room. No, not the GOP mascot. I'm talking about the colossal beast that is our political landscape. It's a jungle out there, folks. The left swings from vines of progressivism. Wow, I can't even say that.
Wow.
while the right clings to sturdy branches of tradition. And in the middle, the elusive swing voter dangles precariously, wondering if they'll ever find a vine that doesn't snap under the weight of partisan bickering. But fear not, my friends. We're here to cut through the noise, wielding Occam's razor like a seasoned lumberjack. Tonight we'll dissect the latest Democrat corruption and fat brags trying to jail Trump. And just maybe figure out why politicians can't resist tweeting at 3 a.m. Seriously, folks, put down the phone and get some sleep. The Constitution doesn't have a send button. And speaking of the Constitution, let's take a moment to appreciate its enduring brilliance. It's like the ultimate IKEA manual for democracy. Some assembly required, but no Allen wrenches necessary. Our forefathers penned it with quills and ink, not knowing that centuries later we'd be arguing about the definition of well-regulated militia. Spoiler alert, it doesn't involve muskets and powdered wigs. Now let's talk about the news cycle. It's been faster than a caffeinated hamster on a wheel. Blink and you've missed it. A scandal, a tweet storm, and a viral cat video. But fear not, my friends. Yes, I'm saying it again. I'm a broken record with a conservative bias. We'll shift through the headlines, separating wheat from chaff, truth from alternative facts, and memes from meaningful discourse. And finally, a word about bipartisanship. It's like a rare Pokemon these days. Everyone's heard of it, but few have actually caught one. But here on the Conservative Viewpoint, we believe in bridging the aisles. Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, and then even that occasional Green Party member. We welcome you all. Just leave your pitchforks out the door, and let's have a civil debate, or at least a spirited argument. So buckle up, my friends. Grab your pocket Constitution, adjust your tricorn hats, and let's embark on this nightly odyssey. Remember, the only thing more American than apple pie is a robust discussion about the role of government. And if you disagree, well, that's what the comment section's for. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Conservative Viewpoint. I hope you guys had a great Monday. Monday seems to always be the hardest part of the week, and Fridays, well, they seem to go on forever until the end of your shift. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Shit.
What's happening today?
Give me
You lose something?
My Rumble did not go for some reason, so I'm trying to fix that right now.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what happened exactly.
Nope.
I think I figured it out. Just 1 second.
All right, good. Well, today we're going to be going over, after Brendan gets all set here, we're going to start off the show today with Hunter Biden's verdict of guilty. We went live earlier with everybody today and listened to the verdict come in, and we did not get any press conference from our lion KJP. So we just got an article I got here. I'm going to put out here in a little bit. But I did want to tell you guys, I'll show you this first while we're waiting for him to get his fixed there. Remember,
I may have fixed it.
But you did fix it?
I think so. Go ahead. I'll jump in.
All right. Back a while ago, when this first all came out, Hunter Biden pled guilty to federal tax charges and strikes a sweetheart deal on his gun charge. Now, he pled guilty to all this, thinking that he was going to get this sweetheart deal. Until all of a sudden the judge says, "Oh, I don't think so. We're not going with this." So all of a sudden now he's not guilty. He didn't do anything. So it's kind of strange how we're going to plead guilty to something right away, as long as he's going to get off scot-free. But as soon as the judge says, "No, you're not. I'm innocent as hell." So we know that's not true. But it's been a hell of a day for me dealing with these idiot liberals on here now blaming Trump for Biden getting found guilty or even charged, period, because they're saying, where's the crime? There is no crime. Are you kidding me? Are you good now?
Yeah, I just got it up. We're now up on Rumble. I don't know what happened there at the beginning, so I'm just posting it out now so people know which one to click on.
Oh, okay. Well, tell me when you're ready and we'll get moving. But
give me like 2 minutes, if that. Right.
Now, if you guys were with me earlier today, you've seen that we waited on there. We heard a lot of stuff about him not getting charged, going to get charged, or a conviction, a verdict or whatever. He's going to get sentenced. But some of us said no, he's not going to get sentenced. Some said yes. It's been a mixed array of the liberals' bullshit today. It's unreal. And none of them, and I told them to come on to my show, and I gave them everything, the links and everything, to come on to the show. We'll see what happens, because every time I invite them there, they don't want to come. They're chicken.
No, they do not.
And it gets me mad, because when they don't want to come on there, they don't want to say anything, but they want to run their gums. And when they're typing, but they don't want to come live and see what it said, or even come on chat and say it, because they're pansies. And I'm tired of dealing with them. So Hunter Biden trial is a diversion and distraction to pacify people who are looking for some sense of justice in the banana republic police state. I agree with that wholeheartedly, Dennis. You got that right. Are you ready now?
Right. I am good. I apologize to everyone watching on Rumble. I don't know what happened exactly, but now it looks like got everything sorted out, so we're on Rumble now. Okay, so we go ahead and get started. Sorry, everybody.
Go ahead with what you got.
Okay, so the big news today, as many of you already know, Hunter Biden was convicted on all 3 felony counts in his gun form case for lying on a gun form. I'm going to tell you why this is a misdirection. I've mentioned this before, actually. So you remember I said that the 2 outcomes of this case were either going to be Hunter is acquitted, and that's going to fire up the MAGA base even more to vote for Trump after Trump was convicted in a sham show trial, or they were going to convict Hunter, and the media was going to start the narrative that the DOJ is not weaponized against President Trump and other conservatives, that it is completely fair and balanced and justice is blind. They have already started doing that. Here is a short clip. It's about 1 minute, 6 seconds from CBS News saying that same exact narrative. Let's go ahead and play that.
Last month in our country has been a conversation about application of justice? How high does it go? Can the high be brought down, brought low by the application of the law? And juries have decided that in not one but two cases, both unprecedented in our history. A former president being indicted,
Donald Trump,
convicted by a jury, and now the son of a president. And this question, is justice applied fairly? Is there political motives? Well, the White House and Democrats would argue, well, if you think that there is some sort of prosecutorial misconduct with Trump, look, the president's own son is in a federal courthouse, has now been found guilty by a jury of his peers. The broader application of this whole question will course through the presidential campaign. What is justice? How is it being applied? And is it being done in a way that is overtly political? Mm-hmm. Both sides will argue that, but now the country will see a former president and a sitting.
Okay, we cut that.
Okay.
So that was basically it. He finishes the thought with saying that a president and a former president have both been prosecuted through this justice system, or however he worded it exactly. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But this is exactly what I said was going to happen if they convicted Hunter Biden. They're going to run with the narrative, the fake narrative, I would add, that the justice system is not weaponized against President Trump. So what is going to happen from here? Well, Hunter Biden is going to appeal this decision. The appeals process is going to last well beyond the election. And Hunter Biden will ultimately be cleared of all charges after this appeals process is finally over, regardless if Biden stays in the White House or if Donald Trump is in the White House. Hunter Biden is going to be acquitted of all charges when this is all said and done. This is why Joe Biden said that he would not pardon Hunter. He already knows the outcome. And when you think about it, I initially thought, as many of you, that they were going to find him not guilty. But when you think about it, this was really the smarter move to do it this way. Like I said, these people are not stupid people. They're just very evil. So they're going to start repeating that narrative that the DOJ is not weaponized against Trump and his supporters. But we all know that it is. That is the only way that is the only reason they convicted Hunter today, was to have that narrative. It's all for show. It's all performative.
Now, after all that was said and done, of course, Joe Biden didn't say anything, but he did come out and say after a while, he said, President Joe Biden is so proud of his son. He said Tuesday after the jury convicted Hunter Biden on all three gun charges. Now, he said that a long time ago, too. You remember that when he said when he was the smartest guy he knew? He must know some pretty damn dumb people.
Well, I mean, look at who's talking. I mean,
yeah.
Compared to Joe Biden himself, Hunter is pretty intelligent when you compare the two. They're still all dumb, but, you know, by comparison.
Yeah, exactly. But Dennis said they are horrified by this miscarriage of justice and evidence that the scales of justice are equally applied. They're so full of shit. Nothing equally applied in this case, and we're going to find out the truth.
Right.
And that's what people keep saying all over on X, on Facebook, everywhere, saying that Trump did something wrong, but the convicted Hunter Biden did nothing wrong. No crime. Yeah. It just irks the hell out of me all day today. These idiots have been saying this.
Right. And something else that people need to remember about this entire case. This is all a distraction from the more serious crimes committed by Hunter and the rest of the Biden family, one of them being Joe Biden, through their influence peddling schemes. And let's not forget all the pornographic videos of Hunter Biden and videos of him smoking crack that were on this laptop, and inappropriate pictures of his 14-year-old niece. This is also a distraction from all of that. That's something else that everybody needs to remember. That this is probably the least offensive crime that Hunter Biden has committed. It's still a crime nonetheless, but this is the least offensive crime that he has committed. This is a distraction from all of that to keep the rest of the Biden family, particularly Joe Biden, out of the conversation for future criminal prosecutions. I don't think that's going to work. I think that Joe Biden is going to be one of the many people prosecuted in the second Trump administration. But this is their attempt at the moment, is to deflect from all of that and to drive the narrative that the justice system is not weaponized against President Trump, when we could all clearly see that it is.
Well, the next hearing that they've got coming up is the tax evasion one in California, which can and probably will bring out all the information within the influence peddling and finding out why and they didn't pay any taxes on this money whatsoever. So this could open a doorway to hell for Joe Biden.
Yep. And Jeff says in chat, only crime by Hunter that doesn't point back to Joe. Exactly. That is the point that I was making. That is the only one that Joe Biden is not tied to.
And that's why they've been pushing this one.
Absolutely right.
So now, but that tax one that's coming up here will lead back to him. So I wonder how they're going to work their way around that one. Or is Joe Biden going to drop out of the race prior to that? And I think it starts in July.
What, you talking about the Democrat National Convention? I think
no. The IRS hearing on Hunter Biden.
Oh, I don't remember a date for that, honestly.
Yeah, I believe that's coming up here in July, because they kind of pushed these two real close together, and it's really weird that they did that. Because normally they wouldn't put them back close together
because you know what? Yeah, because you know what they're going to do with this, right? I think they're going to continue the same process. They're going to convict Hunter in this next case initially, so they can further drive that fake narrative that the justice system is not weaponized. Then after the election, because they only need this narrative for the election, regardless of how this election turns out. Because if they stay in power this election, we're never going to have elections again. So it's not going to matter if everybody finds them out at this point. But after the election, they will acquit him of all charges in every one of these cases. And of course, if Donald Trump gets back in, these people are going to be exposed anyway. So they only need this narrative leading up to the election right now. It doesn't matter what they do after the election. That is the point.
Most definitely. And Dennis said, the magician, as you watch one hand, does something else.
Did you see what Jeff said at the end? He says, "What? You can't deduct hookers and blow."
Oh no, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that would work out. How you would file that on your taxes, but I mean, sure you could do it. Sure.
Well, he wrote off hookers. He wrote off the strip club. He wrote off plane fare for flying the hookers back and forth, which is sex trafficking. He wrote all that stuff off. So, but the most expensive charge was like $5 million, and the statute of limitation run on that. So they're not charging him with that part. But Trump's statute of limitations ran out on what they did in New York, but they still charged him for it.
Yep. Hey, but
I have a problem with that.
There's not a weaponized justice system. That's what the media has been saying all day, and that's what they're going to continue to say. But I think the majority of people see right through this. They see the shit show that was the Trump trial that he was convicted on. He shouldn't have been convicted, of course. And I think people really are starting to see the game, how this is a misdirection play that they're doing right now by convicting Hunter. I think people have woken up enough to where they can see this. And a lot of people, I think, already have their mind made up now when it comes to this election. There are very few people you're going to sway one direction or the other. You're either on Team Trump or you're on Team Biden, or some of the people in the middle that are just stubborn, don't want either one of them, are going to vote for RFK. I don't think you're really going to sway too many people at this point. I think it has zero impact on the election, if I'm being 100% honest.
Right. Dennis says that's the point. Keep all the attention on Hunter, and that's what they're doing.
That's what it is.
Because
I was actually hoping, and I've said this on here before, I was actually hoping for an acquittal, just to keep the anger on our side alive, to further
Oh, yeah.
motivate us, that would have benefited us more. And I think they recognize that in a way too. So that's why I think they decided to go this direction. But it's all theatrical. It's not going to stick. Hunter Biden is not going to see a jail cell. It's not going to happen.
No. While Hunter Biden was getting verdict plea. Oh yeah, that's for sure, William. Joe Biden was that Moms Demand Action talking. If you guys didn't see this, if you did, I broke down all of Joe Biden's lies that he did in 19 minutes that he was up there talking to these people. And you guys listen to each one. Let me know your feeling on each one of these lies that I marked out for you. Listen to this.
You know, the year before I came to the presidency, the murder rate was the highest increase on record. Last year, we saw the largest decrease of murder in history of it. And those rates are continuing to fall faster than ever. Last year, we also saw one of the lowest rates of all violent crime in nearly 50 years. Murder, rape, aggravated assault, robbery, all dropped sharply, along with burglary and property crime. I've attended too many mass shootings. I've gone to too many schools across America and stood there and looked at the faces of those young children who made it. Do what I did when I was a senator. Ban assault weapons. Who in God's name needs a magazine which can hold 200 shells? This is the most important. The only industry in America that has immunity are gun dealers. We got to end it. After a school shooting in Iowa that killed a student and a teacher, my predecessor was asked about it. You remember what he said? He said, have to get over it. More children are killed in America by guns than cancer and car accidents combined. Professor at the University of Pennsylvania. Before that, I taught a constitutional law class, and so I taught the Second Amendment. There's never been a time that says you can own anything you want. You couldn't own a cannon during the Civil War. And by the way, if they want to think to take on government if we get out of line, which they're talking again about, well, guess what? They need F-15s. They don't need a rifle. No, I've been to too many. I've literally spoken with well over 1,000 families at these events that I've attended, mass shootings.
Now you see, all these lies he can put out in 19 minutes. And these idiot people, and I don't even know if there is even real people there, they never showed the audience. I heard a couple people run their mouths a little bit on it.
I saw a few of them. I almost wonder how many of those people were paid to be there. Why is it that every event that Biden has, it's always fat, ugly women there and very like skinny, scrawny soy boys? I mean, there was one sitting in the middle section. I don't know if it was a man or a woman. It looked like a hermaphrodite. I mean, this thing was. They could have charged a cover charge to get in that place. It was like going to the circus. But you know, Biden wants to say all this stuff. It's a good thing that my guns are upstairs because he doesn't do so well with stairs. But he wants to talk about children being killed by guns. Okay, let's talk about children being killed by guns. Why do they never address the suicide rate among teenagers during the COVID lockdowns?
Why don't they? My stats.
Yeah, why do they never acknowledge that? Why do they never acknowledge the teenagers that commit suicide because they bought into the trans mafia and mutilated themselves and ended up regretting it in the future and then end up killing themselves? You want to stop quote unquote gun violence? Get rid of gun-free zones and take off the restrictive laws in many of these liberal cities when it comes to carrying firearms. All these shootings happen in the most liberal cities with the strictest gun laws. You know why shooters target schools? It's because they are gun-free zones. They know that chances are nobody is in there that is going to fight back against them. If you got rid of gun-free zones, mass shootings in this country would plummet. I'm telling you what I would do if I were king for a day. Everything I said goes. I could just make it happen. And I think somebody actually did this in a small town. I forget what state it was in, but somebody told me a story. But it's a great idea. I would put out a law requiring every household to have at least 2 firearms. Wouldn't enforce it, but you just put it out there. You know, chances are people are not going to break into your house if they think that you're packing. You know, that's why we need to get rid of gun-free zones. Let these criminals think that everybody has a firearm. It's going to deter them from doing it, I'm telling you. But they won't get rid of gun-free zones because they want the killing to continue. Because so they could go and make stupid-ass speeches like this and try to convince people to give up their rights and have a disarmed society so they will have control forever. That is what this whole message has been about. If he really gave a damn about any of these kids, you would address the suicide rate. You would address the issue with gun-free zones, but they will not do it.
Exactly right, Dennis. Gun-free zones equals safe zones for mass murderers. Exactly right. Now, somebody tell me what gun, and I've been around guns my whole life. I've been hunting since I was 12. What gun holds 200 rounds? I want to know, and I want to buy one.
That's what I was just going to say. Where can I get one?
I know. I want that gun because this idiot has not a clue about guns. And it just kills me every time he comes up and says this shit. But I put up
Sorry, good.
I put up the stats when in that video you saw when he said that guns are the #1 killer of children. Well, the dumb son of a bitch lied. This was the stat from 2023, the December. That was the end of the year. That unintentional injuries was 25.8% of the injuries. Then it was, like Brendan just said, intentional self-harm, which was suicides. And then the next one is cancer before assault and homicides. And then the other ones come down after that. But this son of a bitch just wants to run his mouth thinking people were going to believe him, and they are. The idiot liberals out there will believe this son of a bitch, and he's wrong. And I'm tired of hearing it.
Yeah, there are actually more people in the United States killed with hands and fists and knives than guns. That's you can look it up. That's an easy statistic to find. That is true. But you know, one other thing that really drives me nuts, and it's always Biden that says it. It drives me freaking nuts every time he talks about guns. He always says, "What do you need that many rounds for?" And he kind of alluded to it today. He says, "What do you think the deer are wearing vests?" The Second Amendment was not put in place for hunting. That's what people do not understand. That's what these idiot liberals do not understand. The Second Amendment was put into the Bill of Rights in case we have to take our country back, in case we encounter a tyrannical government like the framers did going against the British Crown to gain our independence. That is why the Second Amendment was put into place. It didn't have a thing to do with hunting. People don't like hearing that, but that is the reason we have the Second Amendment. And that is why they try to get rid of it.
Well, yeah, this is they can't control us when we have guns. But did you hear his threat at the end of there? But he said his threat again about we need F-15s to beat the government. Get the hell out of here.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Billy Bob made a point. If guns kill more kids than cancer, then why are there so many CHOP hospitals in this country? You're exactly right. That's for sure. Now, Jeff says, in Texas, violation of a gun-free zone is a criminal trespass. If your intention is to commit murders, you're probably not worried about a criminal trespass. You got that right. Why would you worry about that if you're killing somebody? Now, Dennis said about the 50 cal. I can believe that. That's because they've got their bullets in those cans and it rips them up through there. So, yeah, but I'd love to have one of them, but I don't think we're allowed to own one of them, not those automatic ones anyways.
We should be allowed.
I think if you have to buy a special license and all that for that stuff. But, yeah. What else we got here? Yeah, that's one thing I am sick of. That they're blaming the person for the killing. Well, no, I'm sorry. They blame the gun, not the person.
Yeah.
They blame an inanimate object.
Yeah.
And I'd bring my gun and lay it here and show you that it won't hurt nobody the whole time we're on here. But I might get banned for that one too.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I sleep next to mine every night. I've never been shot yet. It hasn't decided to, wake
I never
up in the
made
middle of
mine
the night
mad
and
enough,
shoot
I
me.
guess. Yeah,
I guess I haven't either. But
So, I got to try a little better.
yeah, I guess. But if guns really kill people, isn't it kind of inappropriate for us to keep sending them to Ukraine?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
why do they want Ukrainians to die if guns kill people? That's
right?
that's a little
Just send
odd.
the gun. You don't need the people. Just send the guns, and
Why-
leave the people at home.
And my mother said this earlier and it made me laugh. She said, why? She was being sarcastic, of course, but she said, why don't they just send social workers out there to talk to them? We have to always understand people and all this stuff. Yeah, they could send Kamala Harris. They could send Kamala. That would be great.
She'll just tackle them to death. Yeah, we got my brother.
They might all kill themselves. There'd be no more war. I mean, I guess that's awesome.
My brother and on Facebook said he'll quit smelling them for Biden. Then he should but they'll blame the driver when they kill someone, not the car.
Yeah, that's the argument I've always made, because they always say about holding gun manufacturers accountable. Well, why is it that I can't, if I got into an accident and got seriously hurt, why is it that I couldn't sue Ford or Chevy or whoever,
Exactly.
That's the same thing. I mean,
exactly. Just like he said in that video I gave you with the lies, he said that the only manufacturer that has immunity is the gun manufacturer. That's not true. The big pharma doesn't. You can't sue them over the vaccines now.
I'm gonna sue Pepsi for making me fat.
Exactly.
Same thing, right?
Right. And then that idiot's talking about, what's that? I guess Hunter's crack pipe filled out the background check, not Hunter. Yeah, exactly.
No, you're mistaken. He didn't smoke crack that day. Remember?
Right, that day.
It was that day. He was good the one day. He was good the one day. Right.
He was not an addict that day. So he just waited until the next day.
Or at least at that hour. He may have went and did it after.
Right.
And possibly even before, but while he was there, he was not smoking crack, so it was okay.
That's true.
Right? I mean, I think that's right.
Yeah. See what Pat wrote?
Yeah, Pat said the shooter would shoot themselves if they had to listen. Yeah, that's what that's right.
Exactly right, because it's like, oh my God.
That's how I envision hell now. I used to always envision hell as like hearing a Rascal Flatts tape on loop for eternity. I think now I would substitute Kamala's cackle. But Rascal Flatts don't sound so bad to me now after after hearing.
Now,
I may make some people in the chat mad with that. I can't stand Rascal Flatts. I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay. But Rowdy asked, when the vaccine kills, can you sue Big Pharma? No.
Yep. Yeah. You should be, though, right?
You should be able to, but they gave them immunity. You cannot sue them for any injuries or death to it, and that's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. They got it all reversed. They want to go after the gun manufacturers who, who aren't killing anybody. I mean, you can't help if somebody happens to use a Smith & Wesson 9mm pistol to commit a crime. That's not Smith & Wesson's fault, but however, it is Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson's fault if you take their vaccine and you happen to have severe reactions to it. That is, however, their fault. There's a big difference between those two. You should absolutely be able to sue the COVID manufacturers, but the whole thing with holding gun manufacturers responsible is ridiculous.
Right. I know a couple friends of mine that own bars. They were sued, but you can't sue the beer company that made the beer that got them drunk. So
yeah. If that was the case, Miller Lite and Budweiser and all of them wouldn't be in business with the amount of DUIs throughout the country. They wouldn't be in business.
Oh, but Bud Light would.
Charlie, don't make fun of your favorite drink. I saw you on here. I saw you in here sipping a Bud Light with one of them fancy loopy straws before he came up. That ain't the cup you had. He had a Biden Harris cup. It was a Build Back Better cup.
Right. Billy Bob said the doctors and the nurses will take the fall for that. Right. They'll try to
what
sue
it'll
the
be.
hospitals and stuff, but they need the ultimate person to sue is Fauci.
Yep.
No doubt about it, because he's the one that lied to people. He's the one that told doctors that they can't prescribe the correct medicines. And why the hell did this come up?
I want to see all of them go. Every single one of them after this.
Oh, ain't no doubt there.
Pfizer, Fauci, Moderna, everybody involved in this should pay deeply. They should pay dearly for this.
Dennis is sitting there. Farmer can be sued for suppressing and fraudulent information pertaining to the side effects of the jab. And I guarantee, Dennis, I'll bet you if we research that the White House was involved with this too, with hiding this information. We know Fauci was.
Absolutely were. They absolutely were.
So, and all of this, and you try to sue the government. Of course, they've got all of our money, so they can afford to sue us, for years down the road. And to use our money. And that's what's all this is bullshit about with Trump, too. They're using taxpayers' money to do fraudulent charges against Trump. But this wasn't happening. When we sue them, they've got all the money in the world. Look how many billions of dollars that they paid them out of our money to make this poison, pushing the poison to kill people. And they gave them all of our money.
Yeah, and I've pointed this out before. The one reason why nobody should have taken the vaccine, if you look at any other drug on the market, you see an ad for it on TV or whatever, they always have the side effects listed at the end. Have you ever seen an ad for the COVID jab that listed possible side effects at the end of that ad? No, you have not, because they don't exist. They will not tell you. There are side effects for everything, whether it's intentional or not. Everybody's genetic makeup is different. You're not going to react well. You're going to have people that don't react well to something, whether it's intentional or not. I mean, that's just how it is. Everybody's genetics are different. They will never list possible side effects. Why is that? That should have been a red flag for everybody right away. If the government pushing it was not enough for you, that should have been a major red flag.
Well, they did leave it. They did make that phone number to call for any side effects registration, but you couldn't find out what those effects were. I mean, one person calls and says something, and they could call that number. But then they only put a couple lists out here and there. They put them out throughout the years.
Yeah,
but this was later on after everything was going. So
and now unfortunately,
aspirin has side effects. Yes, Pat, it does.
Exactly, it does. And unfortunately, now that we see what happened to Damar Hamlin and over in Europe, all these soccer players that just collapse and go into cardiac arrest, we know what a lot of the side effects are now, because this was not happening before the COVID jab. This was not happening before this. And now all of a sudden, people that are, in top physical shape, many of them in their 20s and 30s, or just happen to have heart troubles. I mean, come on, that how people can see that, and it doesn't instantly make you think that the vaccine's responsible for that. The quote unquote vaccine, we know it's not a vaccine,
right?
But how there are people out there that will call you crazy for making that assertion is just beyond me. Like of course it's responsible for that. I mean, there's no other explanation.
That's it, Pat. The adverse effects hotline. I couldn't remember what it was, but that's the number they put out where you could go and report the effect hotline, that you've had. And a lot of people had it. So, and they did hide it there, but everything's going to come out eventually anyway. So what do we got here? When facts are rejected, when truth is no excuse, when common sense is not even discussed, it's time to call a different deputy to inform the boss. They say there are two sides to every story. However, in this world of politics, there is no sides. The box is round.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
That was the biggest problem with COVID. Remember, we couldn't even question the quote unquote science. That's exactly what science is questioning, questioning discoveries. That is the entire essence of science. But Fauci would always say, when he would continuously flip flop, that he would say that we're learning and the data is changing every day. Well, if the data is changing every day and you're still learning, why is it that you were shutting down any opposing voice? Why is that? Nobody ever asked that question. If you were still learning the data and that's why you're flip flopping, why is it that nobody can make any other assertions when it came to COVID and the vaccine, particularly COVID and the and how it's spread and all this stuff? They would completely, and social media did this from the White House, from order of the White House, of course, to silence any voice that said something different than Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci even said, as we all know, you question me, you're questioning science. That's exactly what science is questioning stuff. Yeah. So this whole thing was just this should have been, alarm bells should have went off in every American's head. I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, whatever. Once this started happening, people should have known right away that something was up. There should have been. I don't know how anybody rationalized taking the vaccine. I don't understand how.
Right. Well, Billy Bob says healthy teens collapsing from this poison too. They are.
Yes, exactly.
With no health conditions, no pre-existing conditions, collapsing over. And Dennis saying homeostasis is the key to all of this. Whenever I teach or preach about this, all of this, once they learned about homeostasis, the whole bottom falls out of this fraud, and people understand just exactly how the immune system response system works. Exactly right.
That's the other thing that was shut down with this whole thing was natural immunity. I of course didn't get the vaccine. I didn't get any of the shots. I was completely opposed to it from the start. And yes, I've had COVID a few times, but I've been just fine every time. I haven't even really been that sick. If, honestly, if my job wouldn't have made a big deal about it, I would have, well, it was only the one time I didn't go to work. I went to work all the other times. I just didn't say anything. But I felt completely fine. I felt completely fine. But my one buddy that did get the vaccine. Some people did. Yeah, he got it for work. Unfortunately, he didn't want to do it, but he had to do it. We all tested positive for COVID. He was the one that had it the worst, and he was the only one vaccinated. So, I mean, this was, and this is my theory with every vaccine, not just the COVID vaccine. I think vaccines are the biggest scam in the world. They want you to get sick. That's how big pharma makes their money. So they give you a vaccine, whether it's the flu shot, whatever. So you cannot build natural immunity during flu season, or now we have COVID season. So you get sick, you go to the doctors, and then they prescribe you medicine. And it's just wash, rinse, repeat. It's the same thing over and over again. It's the biggest scam in the world. It really is.
Yep. Dennis says sanitize kills, mask kills, shutdowns kill. The best and most effective immune response is to manage and fight off the infection yourself. And Dennis said, again, natural acquired immunity. Now, I'm going to tell you I can tell you that all this bullshit about who's going to get it, who's not going to get it, and all that, they're making that shit up too, because my mother, and God rest her soul, just died not long ago with cancer. She was living with my sister and everybody. They all had COVID twice, I believe. And my mother never got sick at all. My mother was doing chemo, radiation, all that crap. She was a bad diabetic and never once got COVID. My sister was taking care of her the whole time, sick and everything, cooking for her, cleaning for her, everything. And my mother never got the COVID. So that does to tell you that it's pretty much, I don't know, my mother had one hell of an immune system not to get it, but she got cancer and she died from that, but never got COVID. So
I would say just about everybody that lived through COVID has had it at some extent. You can have it and not have symptoms. That actually is true.
You can carry it.
Well, yeah,
you can carry it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because, excuse me.
Are you getting COVID now?
I'm choking on my own spit. But you could have something and not show symptoms.
Oh yeah.
That is true. But yeah, in most cases you can. So I think a lot of people, I think just about everybody has had it to some extent, whether you had symptoms or not. That's completely different. Like the first time I had it was the worst. I lost my sense of smell. That was the worst part. I've gotten it back since, of course. But the other times I had it probably at least two more times, maybe even a third. I don't even know. It felt just like cold symptoms, But the thing that I noticed that's different between COVID and the common cold is the fatigue. You feel lazy, like you don't want to do anything. So that's how I knew it was something different. But overall, not a big deal. Not a big deal. Not worth the hysteria and all the bullshit we were put through. And it still may go through. Who knows if it's completely over? All the tyrannical bullshit they did because of it.
All right, Dennis, you got to explain this one to me because I'm not agreeing with you on this one yet. He says I'm going to throw a giant wrench into the whole narrative. Here it is: the actual no such thing as immunity, unless it's a disease that cannot infect humans. Okay, I if it cannot infect humans, I don't agree with that one. It has to infect humans to have you personally have the immunity, not the disease.
That's how you develop immunity, is by getting infected with the disease, and that brings me back to the
Polio
argument I made
we got and all that. Is that what you're talking about, Dennis?
Yeah, I think what he's trying to say is you're not completely immune in the sense like you're not going to get it, but the more you catch it, the weaker it gets, the more your body knows how to fight it. Am I understanding that right, Dennis? Did I interpret that correctly? Because that is true. That is true. I would still consider that immunity in a way. I don't know the Merriam-Webster definition of immunity, but that would mean immunity to me, I would think.
Well, I do. There's a state of quality of being resistant to a particular infectious disease or pathogen. So that makes sense if that's what he's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Billy Bob says, and tests are fake. I believe that they actually are too. Yes. I've said that for a long time now.
I stuck one in water and it came back positive.
Yep. I only tested once for it. But I know that I had it the time I was tested for it because, like I said, I lost my sense of smell completely. My nose wasn't stuffed up. I couldn't smell like it. I'm not trying to be funny. Somebody could take a huge steaming shit next to me. I wouldn't have smelled it. It was definitely different, but like I said, still not a big deal.
There's too many mutations in any virus pass between people to have an exact vaccine to cure all. Exactly. Okay, that's why they make different ones. Because when I was young, we had polio.
Yeah.
And we took all those ones that you got. If you're as old as I am, guys, you got that little round spot on your arm where you got all those vaccines from. Brendan's too young for that. But you got that where we got all those damn vaccines for that stuff. And with each individual underlying condition, vaccines will act differently. And that's for sure. And that's coming from YouTube.
I was misunderstanding.
Or no, Facebook. I'm sorry.
I was misunderstanding what Dennis
immune
was
response
saying.
Go ahead.
I understand what he's saying now. Yeah, actually, the COVID that we're dealing with now is no longer COVID-19 because it has mutated so much. So it is correct, but you do develop more. I don't know what you want to call it. If you don't want to call it immunity, we'll call it immunity. Your body learns how to fight it off better each variant because the first strain of a virus is always the strongest. Then it gets weaker with each mutation. A virus will get weaker with each mutation. So the first strain of COVID didn't seem that bad for most people. So the strain we're on now, wherever the hell it may be called, it should be very weak because that's how viruses work. The more that people catch it, it usually becomes more contagious with each strain. but it becomes less deadly and the symptoms are more mild. So when the news was doing all this mass hysteria when we would have a new COVID variant, that was actually a good thing that we were getting new variants, because that means the virus is weakening. We're getting used to having the virus. New variants was a good thing, but that's not how the media projected it.
And Dennis is right. Immune response is what we have. We produce antibodies and T cells to fight the infection off, right, with your white cells and your red cells. Antibodies destroy pathogens in the bloodstream. T cells fight the pathogens inside and out of the cells. And Dennis, you went from our Wimpkin attorney now to our Wimpkin doctor. You're a man of multi-talents. The more mutations a virus experiences, the general weaker it becomes. And it does. You're right, because your body builds up an immunity to it.
Sorry, hold on one second.
That's what I was doing. I was looking at something here. Your body will develop immunity to the base of viruses, but will react to the mutations. Now, I'm going to give you guys that website here. And let's see, here it is. And it has come from the CDC website about vaccine safety, ensuring safety monitoring, and the VARs in the index. If you guys want to go see that stuff on this stuff. But okay, I'm moving some stuff around here now. Brendan said that faster than I could type it. Dennis was doing that at the same time you were talking. Oh, my tablet's freezing up.
Okay, so we're on the same page, Dennis. Good.
But there has been so much wrong with everything that has went on with all this that it's going to go on for years, and so much more different stuff's going to come up, and we're going to be finding out stuff for years down the road here of what's been going on and stuff. So I don't know if we'll ever find out the truth altogether about any of this stuff. And will Hunter Biden be held accountable? I don't know about that either. But only time will tell. And we'll see what's going on. Well, I didn't get to any of the stuff that I had planned again, but that's okay. We had a great discussion on everything that we've talked about today. There's a big deal with Hunter Biden and seeing what's going to come out with that. We're still waiting for the Trump stuff to go out. That's still on hold. And I saw Fannie Willis that's still going on in Georgia. So we're still looking toward that. We've got so much to go over and so many topics. These drugs are not vaccines. They potentially can infect nearly half or every cell in the body. Oh, with the mRNA? Oh, yeah, most definitely. There is so much wrong with this stuff that we don't even know. I mean, we'll never know the truth about everything that's went on. Everything's been hidden, and it's in that little black book of the presidents where everything stays hidden and nobody ever finds anything out about it.
Yep.
I don't think we'll ever know.
Not in our lifetime, anyway.
No, that's for sure.
Unless Trump can declassify it somehow, I guess the answers, but it might.
And he can, and he said he's going to. Some of the stuff he said he was going to declassify. That's what I'm looking forward to when he gets in. So hopefully he does. But I'm going to tell you this. This is about all the time we have for tonight, guys. But before we wrap up the show, I'm going to ask you guys to go to our Rumble pages. Mine is Country Conservative, and Brendan's is the Brendan Statler Show. Follow us. Give us that thumbs up. To follow us is important. We need more followers to get our reach out to more people. Wimpkin is great because we've gotten lots and lots of people getting on here, engaging with us. We've got to get more people in Facebook and Twitter and everywhere to help us start getting our word out because, the clock's ticking on this election, people. and we have got to get things going on. We've got to get people woke up. So no matter what we do, please share our videos, the live streams and everything. That'll help us out a great deal. If I can get all my followers on Twitter to start doing it, I'm going crazy. But please follow us on everything, wherever you guys are at, follow us. And let us know how you enjoyed the topics and the stuff that we went over tonight. And again, we're thankful for everyone that gets on the chat and let their voices heard, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to get you guys' voices out there to let the government know that we're sick and tired of the corruption and everything that's going on in D.C. So with that, I'm going to leave you with this. As the clocks wind down and the stars twinkle their approval, we bid you a farewell. Tonight, we've ridden a roller coaster of ideas, gripping the safety bars of reasons as we loop the loop through the political circus. But now it's time to disembark. Remember, democracy isn't a spectator sport, it's a contact sport. So go out there, engage in civil discourse, and remember that compromise isn't surrender, it's the art of finding common ground. Whether you're a red state cowboy or a blue state dreamer, we're all passengers on the ship of state, navigating the same choppy waters. Now, as you tuck in tonight, ponder these words of Lincoln. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Let's shore up those foundations, brick by brick, debate by debate. And if you happen to spot a unicorn, a bipartisan agreement, snap a photo. It's rare that's rarer than a solar eclipse. So until tomorrow night, my fellow truth seekers, keep your mind open, your convictions strong, your podcast subscriptions alive. This has been the Conservative Viewpoint, signing off with a tip of the tricorn hat and a virtual handshake. Good night, America, and may liberty torches burn even brighter.
Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.